I do research in OB-GYN and Urogyne, so obstetrics, gynecology, and urology gynecology, under the umbrella of women's health research. And this is often followed with a face that looks something like this. What are you talking about? What is a biomedical engineer doing in Urogyne or OB-GYN? Again, what could you possibly do? How do you spend your time? Like, what do your days look like? And when I think about WISE, Women in Science and Engineering, I think about challenging what people think of when we say an engineer or a scientist, and changing the perspective and bringing in new ideas about what science and engineering can look like. We have a society where we don't discuss healthy and unhealthy your gynecological function. A doctor might say, well, you know, if you're having painless sex, you need more lube. It's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot more going on there, and between a society that isn't talking about it and doctors and researchers who don't know the exact causes of these disorders, what could we possibly expect from our engineers on top of this, right? The engineers aren't even in the equation yet. If we start to bring together our doctors and our physiotherapists, our nurses, our women's health researchers, and our engineers, and we begin to create these interdisciplinary teams, then we have skilled problem solvers, our engineers, to help support the questions that the doctors and the physiotherapists, the nurses, and the researchers want to ask. Engineers are kind of like an enabling tool to help facilitate our healthcare professionals as they ask these questions and look for answers. EMG is electromyography. It is the recording of electrical activity, and that's a voltage differential that is produced by skeletal muscle. So when our muscles activate to generate force in some way, there is a voltage differential created that we can actually record, and we can use these recordings to understand what's going on with our muscles. If we go back and we start looking at what pelvic floor EMG looks like, up until 2012, these pictures are straight up out of a literature review. So they reviewed all the literature, and they looked at all of the EMG devices available for pelvic floor, and they wrote a paper all about it. And this is what they saw. These devices. If you insert one of these devices in the vagina, you can have the participant walking around, and there's going to be motion of the body with respect to the device. So this is called like a little motion artifact. So every time our body is moving against the probe, it changes where we're taking measurements, and it's going to mess with our signal. These devices, not only do they look ridiculous, but technically they're not doing what they're meant to do either. So in 2012, my supervisor published a paper, so you can find it at Czyrnyj et al. 2012, and that she had designed a new device. She had been doing her PhD, and a company had come to her and they said, which electrode should we be using? Which pelvic floor muscle electrode is the best? And she looked at what was available and she said, none of them. These are all ridiculous. I can do better. I'm an engineer, and I'm a woman, and I am a physiotherapist, and I can look at the human body and I can see something else. So what she did was she designed the differential suction electrode. The electrode for this device is this little circle at the top. So it's this teeny tiny little 1 centimeter circle. It gets inserted into the vagina, pressed against the wall, and then we use the syringe there. We just pull into the syringe and it gets suctioned against the wall of the vagina. And we get a single focused measurement that is fixed to the wall of the vagina, so we're not moving around anymore. Whenever I start off and I start thinking about engineering and women's health, this is the example that I think of. I think about a situation where people were designing the same thing over and over again, and they weren't really putting any thought into it. Maybe there weren't a lot of women doing the designing in this case, but someone walked in and they looked at what they actually needed to get at, and they said, well, let's go back to the beginning, let's start again. and let's try something different. So just going back to what I actually wanted to talk about today. So biomedical engineering and women's health research. I've given you guys an overview of what we're actually doing in our lab, but I wanted to go back and specifically answer each of the questions that I had posted in my original purpose slide. So in terms of what does biomedical engineering look like, I showed you a lot of different pictures today, and I talked about a lot of different pathologies. And what I really wanted to get at is that it doesn't look specifically like any one thing. I recently met a woman who is a mechanical engineer who is using a mouse model to investigate stem cell treatments for prolapse and urinary incontinence. So she's using mice and she's administering treatments to these mice to see how it impacts their pelvic floors. This was designed by a sexual therapist at Queen's University, and it is meant to take more accurate and objective pressure measurements for women with pelvic pain. So often to measure pain, they'll just touch around the perineal area or the vulvar area to assess how much pain a participant is feeling. But it's, again, very subjective if you're just using your fingers to touch. So this woman designed this device, so a vulvokinesiometer, to more objectively and accurately assess the levels of pain with different pressures. There's a lot of different research going on in women's health, excuse me, and it looks like everything. It looks like things you can't even imagine, and it's a very exciting field, and it's a very exciting time to be an engineer in it. In terms of what this field actually entails, what are you actually required to do? You're going to be required to do a little bit of everything. I write software, I've done circuit work, I do mechanical analysis all the time. I have had to learn some serious anatomy, so we're required to do everything, and so if you're looking for a challenge, it's a really great field to be in. Who's actually doing this research? There's groups all over the world. This is the really big group in North America, is at the University of Michigan. So there's people all over the world working away quietly and happily in their labs, trying to learn more about what's going on in women's health. Why is it so important? Engineers, if you ask what an engineer actually does, the thing that I hear over and over is solving problems. We solve problems. We're dedicated problem solvers, and this is a field full of problems that need solving. It's full of complex pathologies that we are having trouble understanding, and it's full of physicians and researchers and physiotherapists who need help to get the technology to learn what's actually going on. So it's a great field to be in, and an engineer, a good engineer in this field, is priceless. So that's all I have to say today. Thank you guys very much for listening.